welcome. It's Friday. We are here in the new format. Super excited. We did our test format 2 weeks ago, and now we're back every single Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Yes, you are here, Litvak Leadership Live. Let's get some housekeeping stuff out of the way first. If you haven't liked Litvak Leadership on Facebook and YouTube yet, why? What are you waiting for? Litvak Leadership is taking off on Facebook. YouTube's, a little bit behind, but YouTube's a challenge for, seems like everyone except Evan Carmichael. So, but we're going to talk about that somewhat today. So check that out. So I want to welcome my guest, the one, the only, and he loves when I say this, the legendary Wes Wyatt is here in the house today. Wes, welcome to Litvak Leadership Live.
Thank you for having me. Is this my second or third time on the show?
This is your second time on the show, where Wes and I were originally going to talk about superheroes months ago, but then we came up with a better topic. What are you pointing to?
I've got Superman here.
Yeah.
I've got the Avengers up top with Stan Lee, and I love you too, big boy.
So, and for those of you wondering, because I need to keep track of this, I realize this is, Wes, what number show do you think this is?
For you?
For me, because I was doing this Monday through Friday, starting on the day after Labor Day, and then in March I said I'm taking a month or so off, and now I'm weekly. What number show do you think this is? Because I was shocked when I looked.
200.
No, well, it's not that many. You are number 138.
And you're already recycling to get to me? Man.
I am recycling.
You must be really scraping the barrel to get the last bit of
bringing back the good people. Bringing back the good people. So Wes is the founder of iEureka, which is all about helping people to find freedom and market themselves first. And when Wes and I were talking about, what we should talk about today, Wes, responded to me with, and I want to write this. Well, I didn't write down what you said. You said, I've got so many things going on. I need to prioritize. I need to figure it out. So I'm paraphrasing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What stays, what goes when you want to grow. So when you responded to me that way, Wes, what exactly were you talking about?
Well, first and foremost, I've got so many. You ever heard somebody say they got the candle burning at both ends?
Yes.
I've pulled the wick out in the middle and in a couple of places, along the way as well. It's been so insane this year. When everybody was having a kooky time with COVID, the company that I do my main marketing with, that allows me to, have this be my office. They do safety tape and floor signs. And as you can imagine, safety tape and floor signs have been pretty paramount in the whole, COVID debacle here. So because of that, it's been a very, very good time to be in that industry. So I have that going on extra busy because there's more need for that stuff than ever. I've got a daughter who's a senior that's going to be not only graduating high school but moving away to go to college. I've got a junior in high school. He's busy with all sorts of things. And then if all that was enough, I got involved with the Mega Minds and started doing not one but two shows. Those two shows have spawned off into a couple other little side gigs here and now and again. And on top of all that, I'm still trying to do the side hustles that I was doing before all this. To say a funny term that you've heard me say before, I didn't know whether to wind my watch or scratch my butt, or scratch my watch or wind my butt, I guess. Is the funny version of it. So it's just been crazy. So I didn't mean to give you a 5-minute answer, but I'm busy.
So During COVID, lots of people got slow looking for things to do, or looking to get creative, or they just binge watched on Netflix. Obviously, you have not been doing that. Would you say your business picked up during COVID?
Yeah, it did. And I do the other stuff too, Sean. I don't want you to think that I'm sitting down here not leaving. I've got a ball and chain around my ankle. I still binge watch shows with my wife and daughter and son. If there's something that's on, I will tell you I do far less than that than the other stuff. But during yes, I am the famous producer at the penalty
the
box.
Legendary producer.
Yeah. So, I still do that stuff. I am a gigantic proponent in working hard and playing hard. It's funny, that you have the Eureka on there. Did we cover the last time where that come from?
I don't remember if we did.
Okay, and I don't remember either. The king Archimedes, they didn't know how to weigh the crown of the king. The gold and all the gems, and it was obviously a crown has got all sorts of nooks and crannies and whatnot. So Archimedes was lowering himself into the bathtub, and when the water spilled out, he realized that if they would fill a bucket to the top and put the crown in, the water that come out was how much the crown weighed for gold. Right. So he screamed Eureka, which is I found it, and that's where Eureka come from, and so it's I found my calling, and try to help other people do it. With that said, one of the other things you were asking me about is what do you have you been busy, busier than normal? I've been so busy that when you go to those sites, I don't market myself. When you when you hear the penalty box or building wins or any of that stuff, you never really hear go here to have Wes help you, because I haven't set myself up with that stuff yet. So even weswyatt.com is very sparse for stuff of my own. So it's at the cobbler's wife situation where the cobbler makes shoes for everybody else but walks around barefoot.
Yeah. So let's talk about your social media presence. So you've got weswyatt.com. You've got your Twitter, which I didn't even know you were on Twitter, but you're following me, and I immediately started following you. So your tweets will now be delivered to my phone. And like you're active everywhere. You're on Instagram. You're on Pinterest, which I'm still trying to figure out that. I love it that you haven't posted anything on YouTube in a while, and you still have 440 subscribers. And then you're on LinkedIn, which, according to Shay Rowbottom, is the only place any of us need to be. So I want to talk about Pinterest. What is your purpose on Pinterest?
Initially, my interest in Pinterest was twofold, and maybe a little bit more. The main thing was finding infographics, which if you're someone that likes to have a very bite-sized elevator speech version of something, aren't those the coolest? I made every one of those. Not bragging. I mean, some of them are kind of horrible. Some of them are good, but they're called the cubes. And I absolutely love those little guys because I think the one that's got the beard looks like me. But anyway, I would use it for going through and finding. That doesn't work anymore, by the way. Don't text that. Although it might work, I don't know. But the pictures of Michael Jordan, the infographics that you see, the pictures of the cubes, and then cool office layouts was probably my initial interest in just general smartassery. If we have it in stock, if it's in stock, we have it. That kind of stuff. I like that kind of stuff. So that's what I put on there. But, the fact that I have 1,500 followers on here cracks me up because I don't remember the last time I posted something to it.
Yeah, I cannot figure out what to use Pinterest for other than to see what kind of things my wife and my daughter are looking at. Although I have a Pinterest account, and at times I'll be like, I'm going to post a lot of stuff, and I kind of let that go by the wayside in the whole what stays, what goes. So, Wes, what is going to stay? Well, instead of what's going to stay, what's going to go? What are you looking to just push aside so you can focus on something else?
You can't push all of the social media stuff aside if,
right.
The main reason being, and I won't tell you who it was because, to be totally honest with you, I don't remember. But one of the marketers out there said that they still to this day get people signing up in, several different opportunities that they used to be in, that, they'll have them, message and say, hey, just want to let you know, I just joined so-and-so, and he'll be like, that's great. I haven't been in it for 3 years. So the digital real estate that exists with social media is undeniable. Great example of that, Sean, is going to be the YouTube that you just showed. I've got over 400, rounding up to, pretty close to 500 people, probably less than 5, more than 4, people on there. And I really don't post. I mean, as a matter of fact, the stuff that's on there, Victoria Justice, that's got 1,500 views. That probably is where a lot of the people come from. My daughter was sick. I bought her VIP tickets to go meet Victoria Justice. And when we went, Carson was down in bed with 105 fever. So I waited. I was the last person in line and walked up and said, would you mind making a video for my daughter? And she said, absolutely not. And so she, told her to get well. And so my son and I waited with, probably 2,000 little girls to get her autograph and have her make that video. But I was telling you off camera that I have a new, way of doing things. And by the way, this is not mine, and it's nothing new. It's just one of those things that somebody else has, turned into a course or an idea. But just a while back, Gary V was talking about Gary Vaynerchuk. For those of you that don't know who Gary V is, Gary V was talking about doing so many different pieces of content from one thing. So you're essentially making
big thing.
Exactly. One big piece of content that gets, instead of saying broken down, the, big term is going to be repurposed into several little things. All those things feeding back to the big thing, which should, if all works out correctly, lead to something else. And so it would go a little something like this. You would go through and do a very, very, detailed and planned YouTube video. And it could be this show. Okay.
All right.
And you do about a half hour of content, give or take a couple minutes. So a half hour is about perfect, a half hour to an hour, if you really want to get detailed. And what you do from that point is you then go through and break that episode into quote cards, sound files, podcasts, blog posts, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all the different things that are out there, post. But every one of those posts that you're putting out there, the mini content, is leading back to the YouTube.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. The YouTube has got a very, very robust title that has been researched out to have all the fixins. And I'll talk about something that did this very familiar not that long ago. the body of it is going to be where the lights, camera, action stuff's going to happen, because it's going to have them going to, hey, if you want more information, go here. That go
Right.
here is going to be where you have something that is going to be a giveaway item, where you're able to get somebody's email address. And then at that point, you're either going to get them into what you're doing and or get them on the email address, mailing list, or if they don't do whatever that something is, you're going to have them essentially being dripped to until they decide to unsubscribe. All right.
So what you're
going to
every time I sign up for a free ebook, I'm being added to an email list. Oh my!
Again, not new. But here's the thing that you need to know with that, Sean, and I'll tell you that example from years back that without a doubt worked. But the thing about simple is it's simple to do, but it's also simple not to do. Okay, and what I mean by that is everybody and their brother creates these mailing lists and creates these captures, but you'd be amazed at how many never create the drips that go behind it. There's one email that goes out and says, "Thank you for downloading our stuff," and then they give up. They don't send out the other stuff. There's that image that you see of the guys digging for gold, and there's one guy walking away and another guy seconds away from it, and he's walking away. You really have got to plan a long game in social. If you get lucky right off the bat, that's great. I'm a 20-year overnight success. I mean, I've been doing this forever. So, but with that said, several years ago, and I don't mean to keep saying with that said, because I've said it about 4 times now, but a while back, Jimmy Kimmel had a video that if you have ever seen it, there's a young lady that's twerking against a door, and the door opens and she falls into a fire and catches on fire and is running around her apartment freaking out. And I kind of ruined it by saying Jimmy Kimmel, but that video went viral. I mean, everybody and their brother was showing it for what felt like a month. Well, then after all the heyday was done, they showed the full video, which was him. That door being opened was Jimmy Kimmel opening the door. The girl was a stuntman, and it was all planned. It was 100% manufactured. But what they did was they sat in a room and they said, what is the absolute top things that are in the country right now? And it was twerking and pretty girls and fire and mishaps and fails and all the above. And then there were 4 or 5 other teams working on similar things: puppies, kittens, whatever, you name it, everything that you can imagine. Well, 6 to 10 teams working round the clock with the best search engine optimization, keyword creation, title creation, you name it, was going at it. But only one of those things went viral. Now it's the same thing as Cecil the Lion. You feel horrible. You want that dentist, head on a stick, but there's dozens, if not hundreds of lions killed every day. Okay. But Cecil broke your heart. That was the one that took the action. There's people wigging out about, a death here and a death there. In Chicago, there's probably 20 people die a night. You never hear any of their names. But they pick one person, and next thing you know, that person is all of a sudden in the limelight. An Amber Alert comes across your phone. There's hundreds of kids a year abducted. I get maybe 2 or 3 Amber Alerts, a year. I mean, so you got to wonder, like, what causes that stick. Okay. And so it's if you and I could figure it out, we'd be trillionaires. If we could figure out what the analytics and the wherewithal of all that is. But like I said, Jimmy Kimmel, had lightning in a bottle with 1 out of probably 10 things, and they were all perfectly planned and executed, but that only one hit. So I want to loop back to something I was telling you about. So that the using Google as your mainstay, or your YouTube as your mainstay of info.
Right.
What it does is Google's making a huge push right now to be the number one and number two search engine, with a bullet. Okay. So since YouTube is owned by Google, when you search something, you'll notice that video almost always comes up in the search. So you bring back to that person that I was telling you about that said, I have people signing up that I haven't talked to, forever. Well, that is where the magic happens, because if you look at search times on YouTube videos, you might be looking at something from 4 and 5 years ago, that when it was created. So those people have got essentially, I guess, time, or the time capsules of stuff sitting out there just waiting to be found. And if they go through and monetize their information every now and again, just do little changes, they probably will remain at the top forever. So I do think that I talked to you about this last time, Sean, and then I'll let you get a word in edgewise, brother. I'm a blabbermouth. But the one thing that I can tell you about this game is the person that says they're an expert may not necessarily be the expert, but they're the person that's telling you that they are all the time. I don't know that Tony Robbins is essentially the best person in the world to listen to, but I can tell you that his tapes, on the late night, infomercials and all the things that we've been inundated with over the years, telling us that he's an expert, you all of a sudden start to believe he is. Little newsflash here. He's got a course on relationships and he's divorced. Okay. So is he an expert? I don't know. He's telling us he is, but he didn't even, close the deal on his own marriage. So I'm just saying that sometimes the person in front of you saying that they're an expert may only be an expert because they're telling you they are so much. So if you stick and stay to this and actually are providing good information at the same time, it can be a gold mine.
So on digital content, do you subscribe to the Gary V philosophy of TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and who knows what else, posting 5 times a day, 6 times a day on every single one? Or do you subscribe to the, I'll use Shay Rowbottom strategy on videos, to drop a video on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays? As people, because I've done both. I've done where I've used Buffer and posted 5 times, 6 times a day, every single day, have it all scheduled out. Everything is happening. And then I've done it where it's only a couple times a week. And frankly, I don't know if I necessarily see a big difference in engagement. It almost seems like you need to stir the pot to try to get to not necessarily your key customer, but just to get the people in general and hope that they're connected to your key customer. What say you?
My answer would probably be something in between. And the reason being is because at the end of the day, Sean, I still believe that what I said earlier is true. And that is the information that you create with those 5 posts a day on all those different platforms, it's still going to be found down the road.
Okay.
So whether or not somebody watches it now may not be an indication of how popular the information necessarily is at that point. If it's evergreen, and for those of you that are watching that don't know that term, it just means that it's always true. So it's something that if you put that out there, then somebody could find it, and then what it will probably do is lead them down a rabbit hole. One of my favorite marketers out there is a gentleman named Ken MacArthur. If you guys know Ken, he's a great guy, probably one of the most likable guys in marketing. He's a big teddy bear. But I spent almost a month in Nebraska doing a reality show with him. And he was one of the gurus and I was the co-host. And so one of the things he talks about is porcupines and heat. And what porcupines and heat is, porcupines don't go into heat, very often. But when they do, it's on. The Barry White music's on and the shades are drawn. So people do the same thing. If you think about what you do when you go on a diet, you go out, you throw out all your bad food, you buy good food, you join a gym, you get the spandex pants, you buy the jump rope. You start going through. The best time to get people to buy something is when they're buying something. Okay. So porcupines and heat and that concept go hand in hand in the sense that if somebody finds that information 3 years down the road and they go, Sean Litvak, Wes Wyatt, Ken MacArthur, whoever that they find, and they go down that rabbit hole, the next thing you know, they start wanting to fit, I need to find his LinkedIn. Need to follow him here.
And one of us is frozen. Seems like with everyone working at home, Wi-Fi has become more problematic. Waiting for 4G to become available, or 5G to become available in my world here. But isn't that a great expression on Wes's face? Not sure which one of us is frozen. So as we wait for Wes, he's talking about how the content that you create is there forever, which is something that I've told my kids. And I'm going to sit here and check my Wi-Fi connection. Yes, I'm connected still. How, the internet's forever. Even when you pull something down, the Google machine has already found it. And it may just put it somewhere that people can see. Okay, well, we've lost Wes, but he'll be back shortly. I can guarantee it. So what Wes was talking about was how, everything will be found again. I mean, if we go to look at Wes's YouTube here, he's got videos from 7 years ago, 8 months ago, 2 years ago, and yet he still has 440 subscribers. There is so much to be learning in that situation where you just continue to produce content. And the question is, at least the question that I struggle with, and I'm sure is the question that a lot of people struggle with, is when do you say when? When do you know that, okay, I need to focus here and focus there, but now we're going to focus back on Wes since he's back. So Wes, where do we focus?
I don't know what you said. I don't know where I went out. I started talking about porcupines and heat. I thought Facebook kicked me off.
Yeah, all of a sudden you froze, but when as well as I do when you're doing this, when someone freezes, you don't know if it's yourself that's frozen or if it's them that's frozen. And then when you disappeared, I realized it was you. So we were still talking about Gary V, 5 times a day, 5, 6, 7 different channels. What about Discord? We'll throw that out there. Are you familiar with Discord? I'm sure you are. Okay. And then, Shay Rowbottom saying, no, 3 times a week. Her and Jonathan Palmer saying that, you put up 3 short 1-minute videos a week, highly edited, or just raw, but it's got to have subtitles to it because 80% of video is watched without sound now. Every time I tell people that, they're like, really? I'm like, well, think about the video you watch on the toilet. Do you have the sound on? Just saying. You said your answer is somewhere in between. So where is that in between place?
Well, first and foremost, to answer your question on Discord and TikTok, those 2 things are very young person oriented. The Discord is more gaming people, not necessarily, but a lot of it. And the TikTok, Sean, I'm 52 years old and I'm not really going to be doing the latest dances and stuff. That's a lot of jiggling and things that I don't really want to get moving. But I think that there's probably a version out there, for me for that. With each one of those social platforms that we mentioned, the one thing I'll tell you is don't put the same thing on each one.
No.
Try to tailor it to where if it's LinkedIn, it's got a business angle. If it's, Instagram, it's a fun angle. If it's Twitter, it's kind of newsy, but whatever your tone is. And then of course, if you are putting it on Discord, you want to try to think like a younger person. Same thing with TikTok. So I'm not telling you I won't be on those things, but I would say that the chances of those versus the other things that have been in the past, being your Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and YouTube, those are probably the if that was the six places that I would say to go to, primarily just being because of the fact that, again, YouTube is owned by Google. So if you put something on YouTube and then you link back, to the YouTube video each time from all that other micro content, then you're going to have a much better chance at not only getting your viewership up, but also your subscribers. And then that's when the money can start flowing in on that stuff. The money that's available, if you can pick a topic, and Bruce, one of our fellow mega minds, would be much better versed on this. But, I think that you really want to have one topic for each of your channels, as opposed to trying to throw everything that you do into one channel. If I did all my interests in one channel, people would know what they were tuning in for. I might be doing a magic trick, talking about video, talking about, whatever. I mean, you really want to have one for all of them and then just start building them. But
so are you saying that I should have Litvak Leadership social media, Litvak Leadership coaching your team, Litvak Leadership personal development, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, if you're putting the whole Litvak in front of it, I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
Okay.
Because you might have a couple different things that like Monday might be Motivation Monday, Tuesday might be something else. So you could keep those within. But if on one Friday you decide to all of a sudden teach people how to make frittatas, that's where the train would go off the track. So I would suggest if you're going to start talking about cooking or a fine wine that you found that you think is great, make a separate channel out of that. Now, one last thing on that is you can't ride two horses with one butt. So we talked about at the beginning of this being busy. Okay, so if you are really, really wanting to build one thing and do it right, I would suggest finding that one thing. If you guys are a fan of the movie City Slickers, old Jack Palance, talks to Billy Crystal and says the secret of life is this, and he says, what is it? And he says, you got to figure it out yourself. So I think if you've got like some big grandiose plan about what your theme of what you want to provide is, go with that first and put that other stuff secondary and tertiary and whatever the next area is to figure out what you want to follow. Because if you don't, the shiny object syndrome is going to get you. There's so much stuff flying at us right now. Like one of the interests I have right now, Sean, is doing AI stuff, with writing and images.
Okay.
And, so it's something that I barely can even take a look at it because I've got so many other things, that are taking, precedent. So find that one thing, that you're really good at. We've got friends in Megamind that are excellent at, LinkedIn. Bren doesn't, talk about Facebook. She talks about LinkedIn. She's awesome at LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And she chose her lane that she wants to be in. Now, does that mean she can't mention one of those other places? Absolutely not. Yeah. But that if you tune in, you're going to get a LinkedIn tip.
You're going to get LinkedIn.
It may be peppered with some other stuff, but the tip is going to be LinkedIn centric. And I think that's what you need to do is find the centric, whatever that is, thing that you want to focus on, and then kick the other stuff to the side, and then you're gonna have the answer to what we talked about at the beginning. Now you can't read what it says on it probably, but if you look over on the cartoon side of my office back there, you'll see a whiteboard, and it may be very old school to do that, but the reason it's there is because that is where I normally spend most of my time. So when I look this way, I see the main things that I have to focus on, and I can put them in a digital format, and I do. But those are the things that as time goes on, I focus on the most, and so I think that people need to, kind of pick that one thing and then go for that.
I think you make tremendous sense. I've got a whiteboard in my office too, which was the labor of love of distilling 4 single-space typewritten pages down to what I was hoping to be one thing, and I got it down to 6. And just hearing you speak, I realized I need to get the one thing that I keep saying is the top priority done, so I can move on to the next one. So I'm going to end up revisiting my whiteboard this weekend, not as an exercise of avoiding what I need to finish, but as a reminder of this is what I need to be focused on.
Well, it's kind of like a Sweet 16, Sean. I mean, honestly, if you put all your stuff in brackets, and start just, keeping everything down to, okay, this against this against this, and then just keep going, you're going to end up with the final 4. And then, if at that point, I'm not telling you to focus on 4 things, but I mean, really, if you could get the final 4 down to 3 things, and then honestly give the weight, probably 80% to 1, probably 15 to 2, and 5 to 3. Hopefully that math adds up.
Your math,
Then my daughter the other day said, I said, what are the chances of that? And she said, oh, I'd say it's about 65-45. And I said, really? You think so? Because I don't think that quite adds up. She's going to be in pharmacy, so don't go to her pharmacy. You might end up with the wrong stuff. But what was that now?
I said taking some allergy medicine, get really dried out.
That's right. But so I think getting it down to where you have the 3 things that are really, really important to you, but focusing real hard on one of them. That's the advice I would give.
I'm writing this down. I gotta tell you, Wes, as always, I have learned so much from speaking with all my guests. I learned so much, and today is no exception at all. You have reminded me of focus. You have reinvigorated me on focus. And for our half-hour show, we've gone 39 minutes. So obviously, we've been having a good time here. We're not going to do the frozen hand. Well, we might. We'll see. But now we've reached the point of the show where I hand it over to you for you to speak directly to the audience and those who will be here on replay, to speak to them about how to narrow that focus and the benefit they'll get from it.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, before you narrow your focus, do something that I tell my kids all the time, and that is, if you're the smartest person in a room, find a better room. The reason why I love the Mega Minds and any mastermind group that's out there finding stuff that kind of betters you is you're not the one in the room that's the smartest. There are people that will just absolutely annihilate you. You couldn't carry their jock, so to say. I mean, it's just that's the first thing. And then once you do that and you have found that group, ask them the questions. What do you think is my strength? What do you think that I'm really good at? And they'll tell you. They'll say, you're good at this, you're good at that. And then take that and run with it. because you're going to say, okay, they said that, I'm great at interviewing to you. And the next thing you know, you look and you say, hey, interviewing and, finding the best, in people or whatever that the interviewing portion might go hand in hand with the book that you're writing. Okay.
Yeah.
And so then you say, okay, it's almost like then you have this epiphany, oh my gosh, I need to do this, this, and this, and that book will be done. And I think that is really where it's at, is find the people that make you work. I'm not going to go and find the 6-year-old that's playing tennis and wipe the court with them. I need McEnroe out there, making me look like an idiot. All right. Yeah. That's what you need. And then once you have that, just literally say, hey, what do you think that I should be working on? What's my forte in your opinion? And if you ask, 5-10 people and you start to get a consensus, that's your answer. They know. I mean, they figured it out. And then at that point, look and find the stuff you're working on. One of those things is going to align with what they said. And there you go. I mean, that's your 1, 2, 3 punch.
Awesome. Great advice for me and for all of the viewers. That's perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Wes Wyatt, founder of IU Eureka, helping people to find freedom and market themselves first. All around great guy. Check out his website, weswyatt.com. You can sign up for his email list. He doesn't even pretend that he's sending you something for free. You just sign up and hit I've signed up or whatever that button said when I did it. Wes, thank you again for being on the show. Lots of fun. And we'll be back next week with another guest. Everyone, enjoy your weekend and be blessed.